Coach, if you want to open it up, previewing the first meet at home this week, then we'll open it up for questions.
Well, we're looking forward to having Pac-12, a Pac-12 powerhouse coming into our house. Stanford is always one of the best teams in the country. Even though they've been off to a little bit of a rough start this year, this is a team that can come in and score 196, 197 anytime. We had a wonderful inter-squad last week. I thought it went very well. The girls did a great job. The crowd was fantastic as far as how they were into the meet and made it feel like a real competition down there. So the girls really appreciated that environment. It helps us get ready because you really can't simulate that in the gym. And the girls I think they're very excited to get going.
When it comes to Stanford, what's like the specialness of having teams like that come into the Centrum?
Well, it's really nice because those teams will be able to come into this arena and this venue and compete in front of our crowd and realize that we can get huge crowds, and we have a great following here in Cedar City, and that's nice for them to see too and to compete in front of. So it'll be a great meet for them too. It's going to be two very evenly matched teams, really. Their top 2 or 3 kids on every event are as good as anybody in the country, but so are ours. So it's going to come down to who has the best depth within those teams. So.
When it comes to your depth, do you feel like those freshmen are ready to step up in an environment like that?
Without question. I do. I have complete confidence in those guys. They're going to be just fine, and we have our seniors and our upperclassmen that know what they're doing down on the competition floor. So I feel very confident, and because of the strength of these guys, it really kind of takes a lot of the pressure off of the freshmen. So,
Stacy, what's the biggest thing that they're going to deal with going from an inter-squad meet to the actual meet?
I think just the difference is the idea of cheering, because at the inter-squad we were split into 2 different teams, so it was a little difficult to just cheer for each other from across the arena. But being together and having your entire team backing you up gives you a lot of confidence. So I feel like that's really going to help us correct the mistakes we made at the red and white.
So when it comes to like facing a Stanford, you face Utah, Michigan. Is it more fun to face these type of teams?
I don't necessarily see much of a difference between facing like the top 10 to the bottom 50. Like an opposing team is an opposing team. We just have to do our own gymnastics and focus on our skills.
Coach, when it comes to you, though, are you going to be, stealing glances at Stanford a little bit?
Oh, you know what? We tell our team never to watch the opposing team. Just almost put your backs to them so you're not watching that. As far as the coaches go, we always try to measure up against what our opponents are looking like. So we kind of keep an eye on them, but what they do has really no bearing on us. It can, at the end of the meet, when it's coming right down to the end and it's really close, you don't want your athletes caught up in that, but we know what's going on. And if it comes down to those last 2 kids, it's gonna be an interesting meet, because my last 2 or 3 kids on each event, especially going into floor when you're looking at Stacy and Danny and Virginia, sorry. When you're looking at those 3 seniors, 2 of which are 5th-year seniors, and 1 is a national qualifier, those guys can finish a floor rotation pretty good, typically, knock on wood. But so their last 3 kids up on beam, if it's coming down to that, are going to have to be able to hit beam very, very well, and I think Stanford can do it. So it should be a really fun meet.
Stacy, 2 weeks into the season, you guys haven't had a real meet. How frustrating has these last 2 weekends been not competing?
It's been incredibly frustrating.
It's awful.
Just because all of us have been talking and we just want to start. We just want to get in and get going and just not wait along while all the other teams in the country are competing like 2 meets by now and we haven't even started, and it's just really frustrating.
Are there any positives to waiting?
I think there are, because we had the red and white last week and we saw the mistakes that we made. Now we can go back into the gym and give ourselves time to correct those mistakes before opening up, so that will look a little bit better.
What about negatives, Coach? What are the negatives of starting so late?
Just the waiting and the anticipation. I honestly believe we're the last team in the NCAA to start competing, but the positives on that are once you get done with Thanksgiving, and then you're almost immediately into finals, and then you're trying to get a good week of practice in there after finals week before you take off for Christmas break. You basically have a month of poor training going on right in there, because the week before finals they're pretty wasted.
Yeah.
The week of finals they're mentally just done, and then you try to get back going that 1 week before you leave for Christmas, and then they're gone for a week for Christmas. So basically you have a month there where you're struggling to get any kind of rhythm training wise or anything. So the best positive of this has been that we've been able to come back, get fully integrated back into our routines, and we weren't rushing anything. We weren't trying to hurry up and get back into it. We could take our time that first week, kind of do drills, work on, just parts of routines, and then the next week more full routines. And then we were able to do full routines and get back to it slowly and progressively, and train smart. And that was very nice. So I think that's been the biggest positive, but the biggest negative is watching everybody else compete. I've come to the conclusion I hate that a lot.
Love to look into the camera. So give the people of Cedar City and the Southern Utah fan base a reason to come out on Friday. What's the biggest deal about facing Stanford?
Well, you're going to see two of the best teams in the country going at it. In all honesty, I think Southern Utah's gymnastics team this year is probably one of the best I know I have ever coached. I know Stanford has some of the best all-around athletes in the entire country on that team. There's no question about that. Ebby Price can unload on you, and she is a phenomenal gymnast, and that is a very well-coached, very disciplined gymnastics program. So I'm looking forward to a great meet, and I know that they want to start getting going. I know that they want to start their season off a little bit better. So they're going to come in here, I think, both barrels blazing, and they're going to go after us.
I don't know if you know this, but why have they struggled so much early on?
I don't know if it's, I really don't know if it's injuries or if it's just been weird inconsistency at the beginning of the season, which Stanford notoriously starts off slow. But when they get rolling, they are a juggernaut. They can beat anybody.
It's weird. They've made the last 5 nationals and have started 193. The last
They've
5.
started off just like this every year, and when they start putting it together, which I'm sure they will against us, then it's going to be an interesting meet.
Now, obviously, the scores or win-loss doesn't matter, but does it impact the program at all to beat teams like this?
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. I get asked this a lot. I have never gone into a meet ever expecting to lose, and I think the first time I actually do that as a coach, I need to just walk away from coaching. I never go into a meet thinking that. I always feel like we are prepared to the point where we can beat anybody, and it doesn't matter if it's Utah or Michigan or Stanford or whoever. It doesn't matter to us. It's like Stacy was saying, we don't really prepare any different for a top 10 team than a bottom 10 team. It doesn't matter to us. They really don't have a relevant impact on our gymnastics. But yeah, I want to go against the best, and I want to beat the best every week, and it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter where we are. This is who we want to compete against, and that's how we separate our program.
Great.
All right.
Thanks,
Stace,
Dad.
you were great. You weren't weird or awkward.
statement, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Okay.
Good, whenever.
All right, so we had a really good opening meet at Flagstaff this weekend. Several top 10 performances and across the board, really, and obviously school record broken by Trey James here in the 60. Several top performances in the conference, and all in all, just a really great opener, probably one of the best openers we've had in a very long time. So,
Trey, just go through your race, man, the record breaker.
Well, when I got to the blocks, the gun went off on the first race, and we had to restart. And I was kind of discouraged because I was like already done with the race. And then on the second one, we went back. I felt good again, and I came out good in the same. And then I crossed the line, and when I crossed the line and looked up at the time, I ran a 6.7. I was kind of shocked about it because I'm only a freshman. I wasn't expecting that. And the weather's been really cold here, so we really haven't been able to do speed training. But to come in with that time was amazing.
Yeah, so like how difficult is it to go from no speed training to breaking a school record?
I mean, it's difficult, but we have great coaches and teammates that they're here to help us every day, so it's pretty good to have that support here.
Coach, were you surprised by the performance of your team and Trey?
yes and no. It is. It's unexpected to see a school record go down first meet, especially when it's been so cold here. But at the same time, these kids this is a really good group of kids here. I expect to see really great things from them in the future. They show up every day on time and they work their butts off. So, yes, it's unexpected, but I guess I got over the shock pretty quick. So, these guys are pretty good.
Now, Trey, does it like raise your expectations for yourself throughout the season to have such a good first meet?
Not really. Coming into the year, I just wanted to stay focused and stay humble. That's my two most important things, and just go to practice with the same mindset to get better.
Is it hard to stay humble, though? Being a record holder?
No, not really. Not really. I don't really like to talk. I just like to go run. That's mostly it.
No, correct me if you're wrong. If I'm wrong, your dad also has a school record. Is that right?
Yeah, he has the 100-meter dash record with the 10.31.
So is that like? What did he tell you after your race?
He said like he knew it was gonna happen, but I think he's a little bit worried about his record now.
Is that now your goal?
Hopefully, in the long run. Just right now, I just want to focus on each race by race.
So is the reason you came to SU, is it because your dad?
Yes, and Coach Brent.
What did your dad tell you about this place?
Well, he said it was different when he came in 1983 and 84, but he was happy about it, and he knew that I could do big things here.
Now, do you think he'll end up breaking his dad's?
Well, there's no reason he can't. That's for sure. Like he said, I mean, if you watch Trey, he's always focused all the time, whether it's practice or a meet. That's my first experience working with him at a meet, and I was very pleased. And like I said, this whole group of guys and girls, they show up to practice and they get done what needs to get done, and then they can go have fun afterwards. But it is a very focused group, a very hard-working group, so I don't see any reason why he can't break it.
So where do you go from here just for the rest of the season? Like, is it going to be disappointing every time you don't break the record again?
No, my main goal is just to stay on track and just keep going on with the training and get ready for conference, indoor and outdoor. Yeah, that's about it.
Does it make things a little more exciting, though, to have your team do so well in that first meet?
Yeah, because all the freshmen that came in, we kind of have big goals this year, and how we see everybody getting better and faster. It's a huge improvement for us, so we're excited.
Brent, I mean, the spring group is so young when you look at it from top to bottom. I mean, how much potential do you think this group has in total?
Well, I would not be surprised to see them at the national championship, actually. That's a big statement, but I think they can do it. Like you said, they're young and they're extremely talented, and from what I've seen the last 6 months, they have the hard work, the work ethic, the focus that they need to accomplish a big goal like that.
Now this weekend, the whole team's headed back to Flagstaff, correct?
That's correct. There might be a few that stay behind and train and get ready for Idaho. But yeah, we'll be back at Flagstaff this week.
So just what do you expect to see this weekend?
We'll switch up some of their races. Some people didn't get to run their main events last week because they were training through. So we'll switch up some of the races that they're running, and you know, I expect to see pretty good things. It is going to be another cold week this week, so you know, I'm sure they'll be very excited to go somewhere indoors.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Preview hitting the road this week for a pair of games, and we'll open it up for questions.
Sure. We take off. We have Idaho and Eastern Washington, two quality teams in our league that will give us a great challenge. They're both teams that pose different challenges, but nonetheless both are very well coached, have a lot of experience, and have quality players. And so we're back to work, and fortunately we felt like we had maybe our best practice of the year. We kind of at that little stage here, we have a little play well, and you have a little adversity, and guys responded tremendously well. So we're encouraged as we kind of get into this road trip.
Is that up and down? Is that just the nature of a young team?
Yeah, I mean, I think really what's been surprising and reassuring is we really haven't had any bad practices. Guys have always been able to get themselves going for that part of it. Individually, guys are a little up and down, especially, but in games, I think when the lights come on, you start to see the inconsistency of, because there's different pressures and, the heat of the moment, and guys pressing a little bit, guys maybe trying to get their opportunity, and so when the lights come on, you see some of that youth and the maturity, and we saw a lot of that here on Thursday and Saturday. We just did some things that were a little bit out of character, and but that's part of it. That's part of growing a team. And then we watch film and rehash it, and you hope they don't make those same mistakes twice.
Is there almost more pressure playing at home than playing on the road?
I've always believed that with young teams, it's kind of the case. On the road, I think that especially now with this generation of player that is accustomed to playing AAU and being on the road, like the routine of being on the road is less of a factor. The rigors of travel certainly wear down bodies and those type of things, but I don't think the atmospheres and those type of things quite get to guys like maybe it once did. But I think the advantages of playing on the road is just, I think, the legs, and especially in our league, so second games are such a huge advantage, but at home sometimes when you have friends and family in the stands, you start to try to press a little bit. Maybe that shot goes up a little quicker than it would on the road, and so you do experience some of that.
So is there any update with race at this moment?
We're hoping. We're kind of at a stage where I believe an MRI was done, and we're waiting to get it read and find out what we're looking at.
Does it have anything to do with last year's injury?
No, it means same knee but different deal. But it may be. I mean, I'm obviously not a doctor, but play one on TV here. They it may be a scar tissue type deal or something that just needs to be cleaned up a little bit based on, he goes so hard, and there's always going to be that. We tried to gear him down and kind of do 2 out of every 3 days and pull him out of stuff, but like I said, I think between how hard he goes and then the constant flying and traveling and all that stuff, I think that stuff wears on guys, and so I think that's kind of caught up to him a little bit.
So there's no timetable right now?
Well, not yet, but we're hoping maybe today we'll get a timetable. So it hasn't kind of helped itself on its own at this point.
So Randy, he's been in the top 5 most of the year in scoring. Does that, just having a person like that up there in the big premier stat, I guess, does that help bring attention to your program?
Yeah, and particularly just we talk about our system being what it is, and we're top, I think, 30 or 40 in the nation in tempo, and things that we want to do here, and all of a sudden now you have some validation of that. It's easy to say, hey, we're gonna get up and down, and we're gonna have a scoring friendly system and things that are gonna try to force tempo, but if you don't do it, then you're just like every other recruiter that says those things. So to have that as a continued track record type of thing, and more importantly, it's his development. Because he's the guy that didn't have a spectacular career at his previous school, comes here, train, develop, and now he's having success in the court to where I think we'll probably at some point have some scouts start showing up at games, and we're taking those calls in a very short period of time. So what it does is it allows us to talk to the next kids, say, hey, this is what we can do for you, and this is our track record of developing players. And here's another prime case of it. Here's a guy that's, you know, among the national leaders in scoring and among the league leaders in several categories. So, and that part of it is there's a trickle down effect to that.
Where have you seen him improve the most since you've taken over?
You know, I think his confidence. You know, I think he's grown as a. You know, his confidence has gone up. His poise and leadership have gone up. And I think as he's, you know, obviously his skill set, finding his spots to score, he was, you know, he had a lot of tools when we got here, but I don't think he knew when to use them. You know, and I think that's the missing component to me of player development is a lot of trainers, a lot of people give guys all kinds of tools in their tool bag, but then they never learn how to use them, when to pull it out, what to do versus this guy. And I think he's getting a prepared mind, an analytical mind now, of when to shoot, when to drive, when to pull up short, when to get contact. And, you know, he's starting to see the whole picture. And in every game, you know, even though he's putting up all his numbers, we're seeing development. You know, we're seeing development in him. I mean, this is only, you know, we're only so many games into him having this role. Yeah. You know, and that's the part we forget about too. You know, we talked about that post game last game is, you know, and as coaching staff, he's only, you know, whatever many games we're into this thing. That's how many games he's into being in this role. So they're all learning together, but it's fun to watch him prosper.
He's also one of the leaders, national leaders in possessions used. Is that something you're happy with, or would you like him to use a little less?
No, I think it's what we need. You know, from a personnel standpoint, I mean, he gives us the best. You know, he's phenomenal at getting to the free throw line, which just, I mean, his points per possession is, you know, phenomenal, which is something that we really value. You know, on the offensive end, we've been outstanding. You know, creating points, and that's what the end of the day is what we want. And he's able to do that. He's making the right plays now, especially when we got some shooters knocking down shots. You know, and even early on when we weren't knocking down shots, it was the message to him was keep making that pass. Those will fall. You know, and he never lost faith in his guys. And so now he's starting to, you know, him drawing double teams it makes everybody else open. You know, and that's a good thing for us.
I don't think you guys are ever stressing the point total, but would it be cool to see your guy at the top of the point scoring at the national level? Yeah, I mean,
if we're not necessarily feeding him shots, but, you know, he's a guy that could get there. And, you know, and he's only a junior. You know, and usually those point total deals is usually littered with seniors and impact guys, and so. You know, if that happens, it happens. But I don't think he's counting them, and I don't think we're really counting them. But there's a lot of games. You know, I was talking to one of our earlier opponents, and they watched the games, and they said, you know, and then the non-conference said, "There's no way he's going to get 30 on us." You know, they were a top defensive team, and after the game, he had 35, and or whatever it was, and they're just like, he finds so many variety of ways to score, and you know, and the way we look at it, we'll be like, man, I don't know, he hasn't really asserted himself today, and we'll look, oh, he's got 19 and a half. Yeah. Well, okay, but yes, he has. So he's kind of an interesting scorer in that way.
Yeah, it's like even last game when it's like, yeah, it didn't have great. Oh, we ended with 15 still. It's like,
yeah, and what we found, and it's a great lesson for guards. I mean, I really just hammer him on rebounding. You know, I've always had good rebounding point guards, and you know, I think he's among the league. I think he leads the league in defensive rebounds, and you know, so we usually when those tend to turn into points the other way. You know, in transition, and next thing you know, you're right there every game. So that's been kind of the focus with them. Is like, hey, why don't you just be the best rebounder in the league, regardless of player, and see what happens.
It's been fun to watch.
Yeah.
Hopefully, more people come out and actually get to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of workers in my time, you know, and he's one of the highest level workers I've been around. You know, work ethic is outstanding.
Guess you don't get that big old frame without without putting some time in the weight room.
Cool. Great. Thanks, Coach.
Right,
awesome.
Coach.
start with an opening statement back at home this weekend, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, it's we're excited to be back home. Travel last week with the weather and everything was kind of tough, and then 4 of our 5 games have been tight games, and so we're hoping with a week of practice at home and no travel that we can figure out how to win a close one and kind of re-emphasize and refocus the basics of what we believe in as a team and fundamentally get back to where we need to be successful and what helped us be successful in the preseason.
Coach, kind of a tough go here as of late. As a staff, how are you guys keeping the team focused, moving forward, just looking at the games in the future instead of?
The great thing specifically this year is the parity in the league. There's Northern Colorado's kind of separated themselves, and there's obviously teams at the top and things, but in watching film and in watching other teams play, we believe we're right there with them, and the team knows their potential, and so we're just drawing on that, on the opportunity that lies ahead. That there's still a lot of time to continue to build and get some wins and get yourself back into the upper half of the league, and being able to just show that, whether it's with comparable scores, whether it's with film, and then reminding the team of the things that we did early in the season. I hope that it's resonating with them as a positive and something to still believe in and hope for, because we're right there in most of these games, and just a few decisions here or there could change the outcome of the game. So for the most part, they're working hard in practice and still showing that they have that confidence that they can be the team that we believe they are.
Just kind of the same question. As a team, how are you guys staying focused, not dwelling on the past?
I think that you kind of have to always look towards the next game and learn from your mistakes in the previous games. So that's something that we've been trying to focus on. Like Coach said, most of our games have been really close, and it's come down to just a couple mistakes. And so just learning from those mistakes and trying to fix those and focusing on the next game. I think that we have tried to refocus and tried to just say, you know what, we didn't start out as well as we wanted to, but this next week we have the opportunity to come out with 2 wins at home. So I think all the girls kind of just focused up that way, just focusing on getting these 2 wins at home.
Coach, there's still some positives as of late. You're getting consistent big performances from Jess and Dari, and Whitney had a big rebounding game the other day. What does that mean to have those still coming in?
Yeah, obviously the strength of our team is with those 3 players, and Jamie has stepped up and had some big moments as well, and our freshman point guards are doing some good things, and so it always that consistency and knowing what you're going to get from certain players, that's what gives us an opportunity to be in every game. And so as we game plan and as we prepare and as we talk to the team, those are the pluses that you build on, and now if we just can get a little bit more from this area or that area or whatever, we've got consistency in from certain players and in certain positions. Now we just need to add to that. It makes it a lot easier. If you're very inconsistent in where those numbers are coming from, even as a coaching staff, you're game planning and trying to figure out how to do it. But we know what is the core of our team, and Jess, Dari specifically have showed that consistency in what they do. And so now building that consistency in the other positions or personnel, especially with younger kids, is the challenge, but it's something that we are excited about because we believe that we have the people that can do it. Now it's just a matter of getting them to do it on a consistent basis. So, really proud as a coaching staff of especially Jess and Dari and the way they show up every game. And if you watch, most of their success comes because of their hard work, not because of we're running every play for them. They just create through their hard work with rebounding and transition points or getting themselves open in the offense, and that's a luxury to have players that can do that because it allows you as a team to know exactly what you're going to get in that area and from those players, and hopefully we can just continue to build on that.
Just so you and Dari are bringing in consistent performances for the team, they know that that's going to be there. What are kind of on the reverse side? What are the freshmen playing a lot of minutes, filling the gaps? What does that mean to you guys in your play?
I think so. Dari and I have been having a couple really good games, but at that point it kind of is just pulling other players into that and kind of helping them with their confidence. During the season, sometimes the confidence level of certain players will go down or up, and especially as a freshman, it's kind of hard to keep that high, the confidence level high. So I think just making sure that the freshmen have a high confidence because they are great players, and they have had pretty good confidence. It's just been sometimes in those crucial moments, or everyone's had those mistakes in those crucial moments, and so some of the confidence levels have gone a little bit down, but it's just everyone rallying together and keeping everyone's confidence levels high.
So, Coach, what can we expect out of Idaho and Eastern this week?
Idaho and Eastern are, two teams that find themselves up at the top of the conference every year, and so it's going to be a challenge here at home. Idaho's just a really good shooting team that moves the ball really well and gets out and defends, and so our challenge is going to be able to slow them down and make them take tougher shots than they normally get from their 5-out motion dribble drive offense. But really good team, and John's a really good coach, good friend, and so getting them first is tough challenge. But yesterday's practice was really good, and I think as we build on that, hopefully we can put a game plan together that can slow them down a little bit, and then obviously key for us to not turn the ball over and hit shots. And we've been hitting shots relatively well lately, but not taking care of the ball as well as we should. Eastern Washington is, another team that, again, the last few years has been the top of the conference, and they have great personnel, some good scorers. That should be a really good matchup. I think we match up well with them personnel-wise, and the last, 3-4 times we've played them, it's come down to the last 2 minutes of the game. So that's always a battle, and excited to get them at home, and hopefully, like we said, this week is a turning point for us as a team to be able to limit some of our mistakes and be in those close games at the end and do what we did against Northridge and Irvine and Bakersfield, and be able to pull off those upsets here at home.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome.